So we had a question last week about the pronunciation in the second line. And so it's Urva Rukameva Bandhanan or Urva Rukameva Bandhana. And actually both are correct, depending on how and where you split the sandhi. So if you say Urva Rukameva Bandhan and you stop, Bandhanat is T, and then you breathe, Mrityun Mokshiyam Amritat. But if you're just going continuously and you're not breaking the sandhi, then it's Bandhanan. So both are correct. And that's why you hear both being chanted. Even the word trayambakam can also be pronounced trayambake. And even that, both are correct. And so we have in our mission Swami Brahmanandaji's chanting, where he says, Om Trayambake Yajamahe. And then, of course, you'll hear, as I just did, Trayambakam Yajamahe. So both are correct. It's not that one's more correct or one is incorrect. So we made a start on the mantra last week, and we can start with this very word. Tray is 3, ambakam, it's eyes. Amba is the root, and actually there's many different ways in which that word can be interpreted. So depending on how you interpret the word, it can mean one who is the very source of all the 3 sounds, U and Ma. And so Shiva is Om, because it's likened to space and that which travels in space as well. But the most common and the most well-known when referring to Lord Shiva, Trayambakam, is 3 eyes. And so we saw already the meaning last week, and we're just going to go into it a little bit more. Sugandhim, one who is fragrant. Pushti Vardhanam, one who nourishes. Yajamahe, so I worship. And so even though it's Trayambakam Yajamahe, Yajamahe is for all 3 words, Trayambakam, Sugandhi, and Pushti Vardhanam. So when we see the form of Lord Shiva, the one with the 3rd eye, and we see this in Devi as well, she also has the 3rd eye. It's the eye of knowledge. And so artistically, they've turned it and they've put it facing upwards in most pictures. Every now and then you'll see another eye facing the same way, depending on the artist and how they interpreting it. But it's not a physical eye. This 3rd eye is, well, in some parts they refer to it as the chakra, as the energy center that's there in the body. And many people will feel sensations here too. And so when we close our eyes to meditate, a large part of the population, their focus automatically, without even trying or without even being taught, their attention goes here to where the 3rd eye is. It's because it's a center. It's a focal point in our body of energy, just very, very naturally. And the rest of the population will focus more often than not on the heart. And that too is a chakra, and that's also a focal point in the body of energy. And so we have energy centers throughout our body. And these 2 probably the most prominent, because heart is what we associate with the seat of emotions, love in specific, but all emotions, even sadness, we'll say our heart is heavy. And then here we associate with thinking. We just automatically associate the head, and especially the upper region of our head, we associate it with thinking because the physical brain is there. But even somebody who doesn't know biology will just very intuitively, when they say think, point to the head. And a kid will also, and even when we thinking, the kind of expressions we make will be looking upwards. Even the emoji now for thinking is looking upwards. And it's just a very intuitive, natural thing. So trayambakam is this third eye, which is centered here in the middle of our forehead. And exactly where each one of us will just be able to intuitively know in our body where it is. And it's our ability to see beyond what we see. That's why it's not just our regular eyes. With our regular eyes, we see this physical world. With our regular eyes, we see body language of people. We see easily sometimes things that don't make sense, or sometimes things that isn't very obvious but makes sense to us. So, if you see a card trick, or if we see some kind of a show, we'll know that some thought must have been put in to make it look this way. So we're seeing something, but we know that there's something more to it. And that knowing that there's something more to it is linked with the third eye. So it's seeing more than what we can see with our physical eye. And it's seeing more than what's there. So it's using our reasoning and our logic and even our intuitive sense of understanding. It's using all this capacity. And so it's referred to as the eye of wisdom. And Bujja Guruji has written in Hindu culture a beautiful chapter where he gives the symbolism of Lord Shiva, where he explains that these two eyes are the eyes of justice and compassion. And so when the Lord is ruling the world as the creator, sustainer, destroyer of the universe, then it has to be just, because the laws are made and he, as the lawmaker, has to implement the laws. And so there is justice. And so we have the laws, and if you follow it in harmony, then things are conducive. And when we go against the laws, then that causes disharmony, and that disharmony is experienced by us, whether it be as confusion or as sorrow or as loss. Whatever the law is, we will experience the result of breaking that law. And so there's justice. And, we have this incredible need for justice. Just each one of us. If somebody hurts us, we have this need for, well, they should pay for it. And so we want justice. Even if I'm not making them pay for it, we're very happy that the laws of karma are at work and they will pay for it. And so we do. We have this need for justice. If somebody takes something from us, or if, it could be as simple as I worked so hard on a project and somebody else got praised for the work that I have done. We feel this is an incredible injustice. And so we do want justice. Maybe we don't think about it as the legal system of the land, but in our lives, we want things to be fair. If I worked hard, I should get the praise. If I studied hard, I should get good marks. If I have really controlled my food, I should lose weight. Whatever it is that we feel we deserve the result. And that sense of deserving the result is because there's our rules and I followed the rule, and so there should be the result that the rules promise. And that's our sense of justice. And so we look at the superior being, or the more, the intelligence that goes to make the universe. We look to it for delivering justice. But at the same time, when justice has to be given to me, we all want that we be treated like, like make exception, don't make it as bad. Yes, okay, I lied, but everyone makes mistakes. So don't make the reaction for me to be so horrible. And so we want the lawmaker or the one implementing the law to have compassion. And so as creator, sustainer, destroyer, 2 eyes, because constantly balancing justice and compassion, justice and compassion. And so this is how our life plays out. This balancing of getting the results that we deserve and then having enough compassion to allow us that little room for breathing so that we may grow, or to reflect, or to feel nurtured, or to feel loved, to feel accepted. And this third eye is the most important one, because when do I adhere to justice and when am I compassionate? And that we only know with the eye of wisdom. So the wisdom is guiding this vision. And we can see it in another way. There's that most beautiful prayer, the Prayer of Serenity. And it's, I don't know it verbatim, but it's, Lord, give me the courage to change what I can change, and the strength to accept what I can't change. And this is, again, our whole life. We want to change. We want to improve. We want to make a difference. We want to change things. And we also know that we have to accept. There's certain things we can't change. Things, the past is over, it's gone. Can't change it. We have to accept it. Another person is the way they are. We have to accept them. The situation is what it is. Sure, we try and find a solution to it, but until we do, it is what it is. And so accept. And so we have to accept, but we also have to change and grow and evolve and improve ourselves. And so where do I say, no, I'm not accepting and I'm changing? And where do I say, no, cannot be changed, accept? Again, we have to have this eye of wisdom. And so we'll find that everything in life, we balancing, changing and accepting, compassion and justice, being assertive and strong, whereas being gentle and considerate for ourselves, or being really, really hardworking, but at the same time, not getting so caught up in the details that we don't see the big picture. And so to be able to take a step back and see the big picture and then understand what's going on, and then to get into the nitty-gritty of things and figure each out what has to be done and make sure it's done properly. And so there's always that balance. And how to strike the balance is the eye of wisdom. And so the eye of wisdom is not just, I know this, that, and the other. The eye of wisdom is, I know myself, and I know how to continuously fine-tune so that I am working at optimum capacity. And also to know the laws that exist in the universe, again, so that I'm working at optimum capacity, because I'm using the laws to work for me, rather than, due to my ignorance, working against them and then becoming exhausted and frustrated. So trayambakam, Lord Shiva is the one with the third eye, but no, it's each one of us. Each one of us has this third eye, and we're revering him, Yajama here, because his works very well. And so remember, the idea is I worship so that I can imbibe. I will, as I think, so I become. And what I adore and what I appreciate and what I value, I imbibe. So I worship that Lord, which has this complete clarity, who is so balanced, and complete. It's really because of the eye of wisdom, and there's a completeness, there's no lack, because everything's in perfect balance. And so there's stillness and there's peace and there's fullness of the experience, trayambakam. So it's not just a physical eye in the forehead. In fact, it's not a physical eye in the forehead. It's not, it doesn't see physical things. To see physical things, we have these eyes. And another beautiful thing about Lord Shiva's eyes is they always half open and they half close. If the artist has drawn Lord Shiva properly, the eyes are half open and half closed. Because half open, he can see the world outside. And half closed, when we close our eyes, we see the world inside. And we usually seeing only one. We're seeing our own chatter in our head and our running commentary. Or we completely present in the moment and we experiencing outside. Whether we're talking to someone or we looking at something. But spirituality is about having this incredible awareness. So while I am looking in the world outside, I'm completely aware of my reactions to what's going on inside. Because every time I look at something, there is a mental reaction. I'll look at a face and there'll be some judgment. Maybe it's recognition. Oh, this is so-and-so. Or if I don't know the person, or even if I do know the person, I look at the face and I think old, young, or my friend, I don't know who they are. Or I may make a judgment about I like, I don't like, good person, not good person. But some judgments I would have formed maybe in this moment or in the past. And even though the judgment was made in the past, looking at the face right now, all those judgments come front of the stage of our thinking. And so we are unaware of them most of the time. Or we not aware of all of it. Maybe I recognize the face and I know I recognize the face, but maybe I don't recognize that I think it's not as good looking, or I think it's extremely good looking, or this is a person I want to impress, or this is a person I am avoiding, or maybe all of that I don't recognize in terms of my judgment. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But when as we grow in our meditation, as we grow in our spiritual journey, we become aware of every thought, no matter how subtle it is. And so, how much am I seeing outside? What's actually outside? And how much of what I am seeing outside is actually inside? That's why it's half open and half closed, because there's complete awareness of both. Complete awareness of what's going on inside and complete awareness of what's actually going on outside. Not my interpretation of it, not my expectation of it, not my, just what is there is seen as it is, and also complete acceptance and understanding and awareness of every reaction to what is there that is seen. So this balancing or this awareness itself is this third eye. To even know what I'm thinking, to be aware of what I'm thinking, to be aware of awareness, to be aware of what awareness is unfolding for me is trayambakam. So I'm seeing. What am I seeing? My own mind. and the nuances of the thoughts that create the feelings and the judgments. And so it's a seeing, and that's why it's called an eye, but it's not a physical eye, and it's not looking outside, it's looking at my own mind, my internal equipment, trayambakam. And so it's an incredibly powerful tool that we have, right? We're worshiping Lord Shiva for having this third eye, but each one of us has this third eye. And it's one of the greatest blessings that we have it, because it is consciousness, knowledge. Knowledge is that very consciousness, that understanding. And it's not, I know this, that, and the other, like, I read it up and I've learned it and I know it. It's knowing by being and by being aware. Then I acquire this knowledge. And that's why it's not called just knowledge, it's called consciousness. Because it's not facts, it's this being and knowing of being. And I know that sounds very subtle, but that's what it is. It's just being and knowing of being. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivartam, one who is fragrant. It's sugandhim, the smell. So another word that we have for smell is vasanas. And for those of you who are familiar with it, vasanas are when we do something, we do an action, and the simplest of actions, we go for a hike, we have a cup of coffee, we cut our nails, we look at ourselves in the mirror. When we do an action, we have a feeling that gets generated from that action. And that feeling lingers. And the feeling might be, I enjoyed, or I didn't enjoy, or it could be, if I've gone to the dentist, maybe dread, fear, and then relief. And those feelings linger. And so here we have physical body, and then we have thoughts, which we can articulate. So when I'm going to the dentist and I think, oh my gosh, I hate all those noises those equipments make, that's a tangible thought. I can think that out. But the feeling of dread is more subtle than even the thought. It's not even a concrete thought. That's vasana, right? It becomes a concrete thought. So, sometimes I'll have a feeling, I want something. What do you want, Swaminiji? Tell us, we'll give you whatever it is you want. Something, I want something. We've all had these experiences where we feel that. What is the something? It's not yet a tangible thought, just a vasana, in the sense of so subtle that it's not yet known. Then it becomes tangible thought. I want specific chocolate that you only get in this one shop in Hong Kong. Now it's a tangible thought. So now body will go and do the very concrete action and get the very solid chocolate, which the very solid body will have. But it started off as a vasana. And then once I eat this specific chocolate from only that one shop in Hong Kong, now again I have a feeling. What's the feeling? I don't know. Maybe I know. Maybe I feel good. Exactly what kind of goodness am I feeling? I don't know. Good. Again, it becomes subtle. I'm feeling happy. Why? Just, it was sweet. Again, I can't pinpoint. It becomes subtle again. It goes back to being a vasana, reinforced. That same vasana, which manifested as a vague feeling, is reinforced now, which means next time round, I have that feeling, I'll be quicker to know I want chocolate. So vasana is called, or another meaning of the word vasana is fragrant. So each one of us have a gazillion vasanas, and I am not exaggerating, because we have collected vasanas from lifetimes. How many lifetimes? Goodness only knows how many lifetimes we have lived. But if we are studying Vedanta this lifetime, we are very old souls. New souls don't like Vedanta. They like chocolate. Which some of us don't outgrow. Okay, so many vasanas from so many lifetimes, and every vasana has a smell. It's not a smell that we can actually smell. Yeah. It's subtle. Just like that thought that I didn't know what exactly that thought was, the smell also is subtle. But the devatas in the heavens can smell it because they are subtle. We have physical bodies which are gross, and so our sense of smell is also gross, and so we cannot smell vasanas. But subtle beings can smell vasanas, and I am told that we smell really bad because we have so many vasanas. Sugandhim here means that person who has been purified of every possible negativity, so that the fragrance they emanate is pleasant and beautiful. And so, in a way, what we're doing is, or what is being said here, is that our thoughts carry a smell. And so, depending on the kind of thought we have, that's the kind of smell it has. And we can kind of see, right? Anger would have the smell of, well, something burning. You know, jealousy would have the smell of spoilt. And love would have the smell of sweetness. Exactly. If our thoughts are creating how we smell, Lord Shiva being called sugandhim, one who smells amazing, is because his thoughts are only love. With that third eye, he has understood completely that divinity alone is real. And divinity is the nature of love. And so all he experiences is love. And if one has thoughts of only love, naturally, sugandhim, right? We'd want to breathe in that smell. We'd be attracted to that smell. We would look for that smell. And so even though it's an unusual way of praising the Lord, it's really an incredible praise. It's referring to the immense purity that is imbibed in that which is Shiva. And so he's wearing the bhasma and he's got the jata. And yet, despite all of that, the smell that emanates is love. And that smell is far more than what we physically see, because it stays. We see a person only when they're in front of us. We can smell them even after they leave. So, or with all smells, whether it be food or people or whatever it is that's fragrant. And so sugandhim is referring to that immense purity, and that every thought is of love. And only someone who is so supreme in love, pushti vardhanam, will nourish. Pushti vardhanam is one who makes us grow, one who nurtures us so that we may flourish. And so we see here that trayambakam, we also have a third eye, and he's showing us exactly how to use it and what a great asset it is. Sugandhim, we have the ability to change our thoughts to have beautiful fragrances. And Pushti Vardhanam, how are we going to do all of this? Because he's nourishing us. With his grace, everything is happening. With his love and compassion and guidance and wisdom, we flourish. But we have to turn to it and we have to imbibe it. And so this whole first line, again, is I've just been describing what is Lord Shiva. For this whole first line is talking about what is Lord Shiva. Urvarakamiva bandhana, just as a cucumber is freed from the creeper, Mrityun mukshi mamritat. May my death liberate me, and may my immortality not be neglected. Now, the second line of this mantra is, well, both lines of the mantra is bringing out this aspect of fearlessness. Now, every mantra vibrates at a particular frequency. Sound is frequency. In the chanting of the mantra, there is a particular formula of vibrations to create a very specific frequency. And so we chant these mantras and we chant them repeatedly so that our mind vibrates at the frequency of the mantra. Because our minds constantly are vibrating, but they will vibrate at the frequency of whatever it is we are thinking. And the trayambakam mantra, the Maha Mrityun Jaya mantra, is formulated to help the mind vibrate at the frequency of fearlessness. And so many people associate this mantra with death, and it is associated with death. But the essence of this mantra is fearlessness. And it's associated with Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva too is fearless, one of his names. Of course, every form of the Lord is fearless. Lord Shiva just seems to have more emphasis on this particular name of Abhayankara. He removes fear, and he himself is fearless. Now, we may not be ready for fearless because fearless is such a liberating state. Right? So we start with fear, which is where we are. Right now, most people will have certain amount of fears in their lives. And maybe we don't use the word fear, but we'll use the word stress, anxious, worried. We'll say, I'm worried about the kids. That's fear. Yeah. I'm stressed about work. That's fear. Yeah. This lockdown has made me anxious. That's fear. And so we'll use different words, but we do feel a certain amount of fear in our lives. And of course, some more than others. And so step one is courage. Because courage is, I have fear, but I become brave enough to do whatever it is I have to do. Take away courage, fear cripples, it paralyzes, and it inhibits. I can't do it, right? Like sometimes if you ask somebody to sing or somebody to talk or somebody to, do a particular action when a lot of people are watching them, even just serve food sometimes, they literally just stand still and no voice comes out. Or something like that comes out, which is most uneloquent and could be highly embarrassing, but that's fear. It blocks and it inhibits. And this is biologically built in, fight or flight. And so this, I don't want to deal with, but I'm not able to run away physically. And so mentally out of it. So fear inhibits, it blocks, it paralyzes, it immobilizes, it weakens. This is just what fear does to us. And it serves a beautiful purpose because fear only happens in us when there's danger. And so to alert us that there is danger, we have this warning through our entire nervous system, preparing us to deal with the danger. In today's world, our danger isn't actual danger. Our danger isn't a threat to our life. Today's world, the danger is usually I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to look bad, I'm going to get rejected. Somebody's not going to like what I've said or done. Somebody's going to be disapproving of me. Is it a threat to my life? No. Is it a threat to my ego? Yes. Is it a significant threat? Sometimes. Often not. Doesn't matter if it is or isn't a threat. We will feel fear when we perceive it to be a threat. And so step one, courage. But the goal is not to have the fear. Why? Because there's no threat. The purpose of fear is to allow me to a threat. There's no threat. Now let's go back to caveman, where threat was to their life. Lion roaring in the jungle is a threat to their life. A python turning up on the path of which they are walking, threat to their life. And so there could be physical harm, which is why fear will ripple through the nervous system of the body. Fearlessness is, even in the face of such actual physical harm, I still perceive no threat. How? How is this possible? Well, spirituality has only said it a gazillion times, and you'll say it a gazillion times more, because I am not the body. And so, if the lion's hungry, let him have his dinner. Of course, none of us are going to say this, but an enlightened being will. When Hanumanji was crossing the ocean, and Surasa said, you are my dinner. Like, yay, I have dinner now. Because in the middle of the ocean, you don't get monkey very often. Hanumanji's reply was, every creature has a right to their food. And so I have no objection that you want to eat me. Just now is not a good time because I'm doing kind of my Ramchandraji's work. But the first statement was, enlightened being would say to the lion, sure, bon appetit. Why? Because body is not me. If body is not me and I am eternal soul, nothing could possibly cause me fear. For eternal soul cannot be threatened, cannot be tainted, cannot be gossiped about, cannot be embarrassed, cannot be rejected. How cool is it to be consciousness itself? This mantra vibrates at this frequency. Fearlessness. For the truth is, there can be no threat. Threat is when something can be destroyed. I cannot be destroyed. Threat is when something can be hurt. Maybe not destroyed, just hurt. Somebody insulting me, somebody rejecting me, somebody disapproving, somebody judging me. I cannot be hurt. Consciousness cannot be hurt. Love cannot be hurt. Silence cannot be hurt, cannot be destroyed, cannot be threatened. So this mantra is considered so powerful and is so popular because this is the goal. This is our goal. We want to feel so secure. We want to feel so peaceful and confident. We want to feel so free. What we feel now is stressed, worried, scared. So there's a beautiful story. Rishi was meditating in his ashram. And as he was meditating, he kept hearing the squeaking of a rat, mouse, whatever. Anyway, meditated, squeak, squeak, squeak. Meditating, squeak, squeak, squeak. So finally the Rishi thought, okay. Opens his eyes and looks, and the rat is literally shaking. And so looks around to see can't be shaking because of me. I'm happily meditating here. And it notices there's a cat not too far away. And it's sitting in its pouncing position. And so naturally, all beings are entitled to their food. But the Rishi had immense compassion seeing this rat literally shaking like a leaf out of so much fear. And so chanted a mantra using his siddhic powers to turn the rat into a cat. And so now as a cat, he thought, well, this cat is no danger now. He meowed back at that cat and that cat ran off. And Rishi thought, okay, done. I can go back to meditating. So closes his eyes. And within few minutes, the cat comes back, kind of brushing against his leg, now even more irritating. Just the squeak, squeak, squeak of the mouse was disturbing the meditation. Now the cat is rubbing against his leg to disturb the meditation. Opens his eyes, or even before he opens his eyes, he knows he can hear the dog barking. So Rishi thought, oh, well, I had compassion, might as well see it through. And chants the mantra and makes the rat into a dog. So great. Now they're both barking at each other and they've gone off. And the Rishi thinks, okay. Closes his eyes to meditate for barely a few more minutes and the dogs come running back. It's panting and again it's shaking and it's so scared. And the Rishi thought, what is going on? He opens his eyes and in the distance, near the edge of the forest, there's a tiger. So he thinks, well, I don't think we're going to need more than this. Tiger should do it. Chants the mantra, turns the rat into a tiger. And so now he's standing there as this tiger, very bold, big, strong. And then the other tiger runs up. And this tiger, rat tiger, sees that a hunter has come looking for tigers. And again starts shaking. And again starts rubbing against the Rishi's leg. And the Rishi thinks, I can make you whatever I make you, you still have the heart of a rat. And so chants the mantra and makes him back into a rat. Very often this is how we live our lives. We become managers or owners of our business and we bigger, or we move countries, or we increase our bank balance, or we in some way become bigger, better, get a PhD. This will solve everything. we thinking we are growing, but it's all outside. Inside, we're scared of so many different things. Each one of us will have our unique little bundle of things we are scared of. And all of us in general are scared of death, rejection, loss. These are things we just all scared of. And so it doesn't matter how big the car is, the yacht is, the airplane is, the house is. We all have that same heart of that rat. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam. We adore Lord Shiva. Why? Urvarikamiva bandhana. May we outgrow this fear. May we actually grow. Not just change outside. I'm scared of rejection, so I make my 3-4 friends and I don't talk to anyone else. Now I'm safe. That's not growth. Growth is I can get rejected and be okay with it. Sure, it will hurt. It doesn't have to change who I am. And the fear of it happening doesn't have to determine who I am. And when it happens, it doesn't have to change who I am. Growth. Okay? This mantra is to bring about the vibration within us that allows this growth, that we are not as persecuted by fear, where it doesn't govern our thinking and our decision-making process and our actions. Because right now it does. It carves out a part of our personality, and it carves out a lot of the actions that we do, especially right now. There's so much fear in the total psyche of the world. So the purpose of this mantra is nourishing, pushti vardhanam. Lord Shiva nourishes. This mantra nourishes. How does this mantra nourish? The vibrations created by these sounds lift us out of fear. Maybe not right into fearlessness, because step 1 is courage. And so this is a very significant part of this mantra, and this is why it's prescribed so often. Somebody is dying, and if you go to the rishi and you ask, or you go to the pandit in the temple and you say, my so-and-so is sick and things are not looking good, what prayer shall I do? They'll say, trayambakam. Somebody is ill, what prayer should I do? Trayambakam. Somebody is going through a very difficult patch in their life, what prayer should they do? Trayambakam. Why? Because these are the times we're the most scared. When there's disease, we get so scared. It's threat to my well-being. Somebody's on their deathbed, we're scared. We're scared of the word death. What's going to happen to them? And then what's going to happen to me when they're gone? Because they look after me, they comfort me, they support me. So their death scares me. So we chant trayambakam. And as I mentioned last week, we're not chanting trayambakam so that we can conquer death in the physical sense. But ultimately we are chanting trayambakam to become deathless, because only when I am eternal will there be no fear. So it's reaching a deathless state, but it's not the physical death that we overcome. Because the physical body, which is born, will perish. But that which is enlivening the body, which was not born with the body, continues after the body perishes and was not born, and so does not die and is deathless. And we'll see more of that next week. But for today, just to understand that we chant it, maybe the illness will get better, maybe it won't. Maybe this death can be postponed, maybe it can't. There is possibility. Sometimes if it's an untimely death, and it can be, what's the word, cleared. And illnesses definitely can get cured, not that they can't. So will the mantra help do that? Yes. But the goal of this mantra, the essence of this mantra, the richness of this mantra is it helps us deal with the fear that's associated with the threat of the disease or the death. And so it gives us a far deeper strength than solving our problems. Because remember, if one problem is solved, we are assured the next one will be waiting. So it doesn't matter how many problems we solve, next one's there. Just like desire. Fulfill one desire, next one's there. Solve one problem, next one's there. So no problem. Right now, COVID's problem, okay. No need to get rid of it so quickly because once that's over, next one will come. Let it be there as long as it needs to be there. Whichever problem is there right now. But the fear caused by the problem is the actual problem in terms of our spiritual growth, in terms of us finding peace and meaning and fulfillment. And so this mantra is solving the actual problem, our fear. And so it's such an incredibly beautiful mantra. It sounds beautiful, the meaning's beautiful, the vibration's beautiful. We're so blessed. And so we thank Sage Vashishta and Vamadev for giving it to us. We thank Lord Shiva for giving it to us, and this beautiful explanation that I'm able to share with all of y'all is from my gurus. We'll pause here for today. Anybody has any questions? There's no sound? There is sound. No, my mic is definitely working.
There's sound, there's sound.
Oh my gosh,
I have a question.
Sure.
Sometimes the mantra can be chanted in a different way or melody. Does this make a difference of the benefit, or doesn't matter which melody it's?
No, it does make a difference.
It does make.
Yeah, so different mantras have different origins. So the mantra I did last session, not trayambakam, I had done Hanuman Chalisa. That can be chanted in any tune and it still has the same benefit. Even the mantra Om Namah Shivaya, you can chant it in any tune and it will still have the benefit. But because trayambakam comes from the Vedas and is a specific part of the Veda, there's what we call swaras, what you're calling the tune, and it's this prescribed tune will give you a more powerful benefit. So you can chant it without the swara and there'll still be benefit. But if you chant it in that swara, there's more benefit.
Thank you very much.
And so if you want to, there's even in our ashram, Swami Brahmananda has chanted it as per the Vedic swaras, but there's on YouTube so many. Just Vedic swaras. That's what you're Googling. Yes.
And
Any guys?
Supriyananda, yes, I
Yeah.
have a question,
Yes.
Supriyananda. For which, when we say the mantras, do we have to say it loud or can we say it quietly? Which is more beneficial?
Whichever one helps you to keep your mind focused is more beneficial for you. So generally speaking, both have an advantage. When we chant the mantra out aloud, it is believed to not only nourish us, but also the surrounding, because the actual voice creates the vibration in the surrounding. And so there's benefit to chanting it out aloud. When we chant it within our own mind, because it's more subtle, our voice is more cross, our thoughts are more subtle. More subtle is more powerful. And so it has a stronger impact on our own thinking process. However, if I'm chanting it in my mind and I'm not able to concentrate, then it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yes.
So if I'm chanting it aloud and it helps me to concentrate and I'm concentrated, that's far better for the impression it creates in my mind as well. So there's no one answer to your question. It's for you. You have to experiment and see which one works the best for you. Certain people will just automatically close their eyes and chant it in their heads, and it just works. And some people like to chant it out aloud. And both have benefits.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hari Om Swamini Amma, Supriyananji. Question, I guess it's sort of echoing on from that Joshnaji's question about if there's a group of us, say, sitting in a circle and chanting out, whether aloud or whether internally, as the individuals, will that help or hinder? Or again, is it the same sort of logic, perhaps?
Yeah.
Trayambakam Yajamaha, thank you.
I mean, a group chanting always makes it easier because you have support. Better or not better, whichever works. And wherever we are, sometimes we get started and we want to do it quietly. Sometimes the group helps us to actually do it. So we're doing it. If we were on our own, we wouldn't do it. So many variations and combinations. There we go. Anyone else? Any questions? We'll chant the mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivartanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mamritaata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivartanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mamritaata Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivartanam Urvarukamiva Bandana Mrityun Mamritaata Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityarma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.